So there's a question that keeps coming up in dating conversations, especially online. What do you bring to the table? And every time I hear it, something about it feels incomplete because nobody ever asks what the table is actually for. The question sounds practical, reasonable even, but when you sit with it, you realize it's not neutral. It assumes dating is about exchange, about proving value, about showing up with assets instead of building something together. And I think that assumption explains why dating feels so off right now. So I want to talk about the table, what it represents, and why women are dating differently, and why that shift is making connection harder. When people talk about the table, they're usually not being vague. They mean money, career stability, lifestyle, access, status. And historically, that makes sense. For a long time, relationships weren't about fulfillment, they were about survival. Economic alignment mattered more than emotional alignment because emotions didn't pay the rent. So when people say money matters in relationships, they're not wrong. Financial stress is one of the biggest sources of long term conflict. But here's where things shifted. Material stability stopped being the foundation and became the entire structure. Somewhere along the way, the table stopped being the floor and became the personality. So we started treating money and status like they could compensate for everything else. Online culture accelerated this. Social platforms reward clarity, confidence, certainty. Dating advice that sounds absolute travels faster than advice that asks people to sit with complexity. So instead of conversations, we get rules. Instead of curiosity, we get requirements. People list expectations like job postings, income thresholds, lifestyle markets, aesthetic standards, and it starts to feel less like people are trying to connect and more like they're trying to screen. And it gets tempting. Efficiency feels safe when dating feels chaotic, but real relationships don't operate on efficiency. They operate on compatibility. And compatibility is slower, it's messier, harder to summarize. You can't really optimize for it without losing something important. Now, this is where a lot of confusion comes from. We keep collapsing qualification and compatibility into the same thing, and they're not. Qualification answers the question, do you meet a standard? While compatibility answers a different question, which is, can we actually live together? Someone can be financially stable and emotionally inaccessible. They can be ambitious and deeply conflict avoidant. They can provide materially and still lack the skills required for intimacy. Material stability can reduce stress, but it cannot replace emotional presence. It can't teach communication. It can't create accountability. It can't repair harm. And yet, we keep acting like it will. Now, this is where the cultural shift really shows up, especially for women. Many women are no longer dating for survival. They're not choosing partners based on access or protection the way previous generations had to. And when survival stops being the goal, the criteria changes. Now the questions are quieter but heavier. Do I feel emotionally safe here? Can I be honest without being punished for it? Can we handle stress together without things falling apart? Do our values align beyond aesthetics and ambition? These aren't things you can verify quickly. They require time, observation, experience. From the outside, it can look like women are asking for too much. But what's actually happening is that the framework expanded. We didn't lower standards, we added dimension. And this is why dating feels harder now. Not because people are failing, but because compatibility is more complex than provision. When dating was mostly about survival, matches were simpler. The criteria was narrower. The expectations were clearer. Now, emotional compatibility is non negotiable. And a lot of people were never taught how to develop it. So dating feels harder. Not because the dating pool shrank, but because the filter sharpened. And sharp filters can feel personal even when they aren't. So maybe the real problem isn't the question itself. Maybe it's how narrowly we keep defining the table. What if the table included emotional regulation, accountability, curiosity, the ability to grow? What if stability wasn't just financial, but more emotional? Because money can help you build a life, but compatibility is what helps you stay in it. I don't think the dating pool is broken. I think we're in transition. Old models don't fully apply anymore, and new ones haven't really formed yet. And that in between space is uncomfortable. It's creating confusion, it's creating frustration, a lot of noise, but it's also honest. If dating feels harder right now, that doesn't mean you're failing. It just might mean you're dating with awareness in a culture that hasn't caught up yet. And that's not something to rush through. I think that's something to understand.